So we have SAP, we have Hadoop. So we have predefined connectors, about 40 odd connectors, okay? So using all these connectors, we will connect any of the system. So if it doesn't have any connector, okay, so at the time we will go with generalized connector like HTTP client and web service. Okay. So the next topic in boomi, it is like now you know like what system to connect. Okay. So obviously like when we say like an integration platform, obviously, so everything works between source and destination. What is your source? What is your destination? Okay. So obviously like from the source, so we will receive the data, and to destination we will send the data. Okay. So using these connectors, we will define what is your source connector, what is your source system, and what is your target system. Okay. Here we receive the data get, and here we send the data. Okay. So obviously like once you have the connector.
Pradeep, I know it's just my like trial class, so do I get to ask questions or should I hold it for the next class?
Yes. So open to ask any sort of questions.
Okay, quick question. So when we talk about these connectors, does that mean that Boomi can integrate only solutions that have connectors that are on this list of these 40 systems, or does it mean, does it just make jobs easier and can do any web service?
No, it can connect it. I said like a 40 odd connectors. These are the predefined connectors. Let's say SuccessFactors doesn't have a connector in boomi. So at the time we will go with HTTP client or web service. So based on the service, based on the web service.
So these connectors are on, in addition to like generic REST and SOAP services.
Yes, exactly. These two are generic.
Okay.
Okay. So apart from this, like we have like a database connector. So you can connect any kind of database. It doesn't matter like what is it, like Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server, Postgre, or any other database. Okay. We have disk connector, which is like a file share. Like so, let's say in your local laptop or local server, if you place any file, so if you want to read using disk connector, it is possible. And FTP, file transfer protocol, and SFTP. So boomi is able to connect all these as well. Okay. And apart from this, we have like a queue mechanism. So normally like for transactional based, let's say like you want to go with like a async integrations. At the time like normally we use queue mechanism. Okay. So the whatever the data that we receive, we just place in queue and it will be processed one by one. Okay. Normally like when you don't want to go with like a bulk, so we have a connector called queue. So where like a customer will set up a queue server, where we like use their queue details and we will place the data, transaction data in queue. Okay. So these are the typical connectors that we have. Okay. So based on like the customer requirements, even though like some of the customers, even though they have like SuccessFactors connector, they'll go with HTTP client or web service. So okay. So they don't want to use the existing connector with various reasons, because they developed a new service which is not available in SuccessFactors predefined one and all. Okay.
Okay, and one question. So when, for example, SuccessFactors makes new services available over SOAP API or something, do the connectors get updated like immediately, or is there like a lag?
No. It is so connector is just having username and password. That's it. Okay. So obviously, like let's say you develop a new object.
That's not
so
like
it will connect. No. It will connect SuccessFactors and get the latest objects. Let's say OData APIs. You developed a new API. Okay, so it will connect at a time and it will get all the OData APIs.
Okay.
Okay, so it is just like a connector means it is just URL, username, and password. That's it. That is all about like connector. Okay, what system to connect and what is the authentication mechanism. That's it.
Okay, and even if there is no connector, it's just some coding can write that connection parameter on top of the regular SOAP, right?
Yeah, this is also like let's say if it is a SuccessFactors predefined connector, I'll just simply show you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sai, just ask like if you have any questions. Okay.
Sure.
So let's say, so if I want to have a connector, sorry, let me upload the connection. Okay, so if let's say I have a SuccessFactors connector, SuccessFactors, and name test I'm giving, create. Okay, so here everything is defined. The endpoint also you can select based on like what is the like endpoint that you are using. Okay, and company ID, username and password. Company ID is nothing but like for like what is the account name, right? Simply like for which company the account has been
Yeah.
created. Okay, so these are the typical details. Let's say if you don't have this connector, so let's say you want to go with like a web service soap. Okay, soap service that you're giving. Okay, so connection, web service soap client. So here you have to define the URL, service URL, username and password.
Okay.
That's it. Okay.
So the
So this is
company
how
ID
like we define.
will be like
So
on after the
no,
response.
this will be under, yes, exactly. So this will be under visual URL. How you want to define your service URL.
Okay.
Along with company ID or without the company ID, it doesn't matter. Like so normally like let's say if I have a service, so which is hitting like 10.20.30, like whatever. So this is my IP. It will hit your account directly. So if you don't have that, obviously you have to go with success factors service URL, which may include like company ID or may not. You have to pass as
Okay.
parameters after that once you receive the data. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. So for any system, even though like a Salesforce or ServiceNow or Workday, so everything is same. Okay. So here, the first part, as I told you, it is how you are connecting the system, how you are connecting any endpoint, whether it may be a source or destination, using connectors. Okay. So now you know like connectors is where like we will connect any endpoint. Okay. So now you know what system to connect. So again, the second point is what you want to do with the connector. Okay. So let's say like you have a success factors connector. So the next point, like which object that I want to read or to which object I want to send the data. Yeah. To which object you have to send the data. Okay. So let's say like you want to read the data from EMP job or any other particular object from success factors. Okay, so let's come to the success factor like a Salesforce. You want to read the data from account object or operation like a context object or campaigns, tasks. So whatever the object it is, what exactly that you want to do will come under connection operation. Okay, this is where we define what exactly operation that you want to do, whether you want to send the data or receive the data, and which object, what is the object that you want to perform any operation. Okay, so in connector operation we will define whether you want to receive the data or you want to send the data. Okay, and what is the object that you want to perform that particular operation. Okay, so apart from this, there are some of the connectors which will allow the filters as well. Okay, so let's say from success factors I want to read only active employees. Okay, so at the time so I'll add the filter within the operation itself. Okay, so on Salesforce you can add as many number of operations like filters. Okay, it doesn't matter like if you want to like 10 filters, like let's say account should be like active and account type should be the contractor, so kind of, so as many as like where conditions that you can add. But in success factors you have to define as a where condition and you have to pass it. So success factor connector operation we will not allow like filters. Okay, you have to receive all the data, then you have to filter it. Okay, so this is the connection operation. This is the second step in boomi. So whatever we discussed, so this is the second step. Even when you go to the like a project wise, like a real-time project, so the first thing, and you have to know, like you have to understand whether what is the system that you want to connect, whether boomi has connector or not, if it doesn't have, like the system is giving services or not. So those are the things normally we discuss. Sorry guys. Okay, and the second thing, as I told you, like the connector operation. Once you define your connector, so you have to define connector operation. So we have two things. We know like what object to connect. And the third step is like what is the exact like uh, profile, like how the data is coming, in which format the data is coming. Okay? Format of the data. So what is the format? Like say you connected success factors or you connected Salesforce, and how the data is coming. Let's say you want to read all the accounts from success factors or all the employees data from success factors. So at the time, so how the data is coming, okay, in which format the data is coming, okay. So that is where we will get into profiles in Boomi. Okay. So in Boomi we have like 5 types of profiles. We have XMLs, we have flat file, we have EDI, we have JSON.
JSON database.
Okay. So here like XML is a typical communication methodology for the earlier services. Okay. So whatever success factors you connect or Salesforce you connect, normally like when you connect any SOAP service, so you'll get the data in XML format. It's a typical communication methodology for most of the services. Okay. And the flat file, so when you work with FTP, flat files, FTP disk and SFTP, so normally the communication methodology that we use mostly flat separated value file or star delimited, pipe delimited, so those are the things. Okay. So on EDI, it is for business to business. Okay. B2B transactions. Let's say like you want to order some product in online, Amazon. Okay. How that Amazon is capturing you and sending it out. Let's say I want to add order some Dell laptop. Obviously that request has to go to Dell warehouse, right? Or whatever the warehouse. So whoever is the Amazon vendor who is selling that particular laptop. So these are the transactions which will use EDI as a communication methodology. Okay. So EDI is typically like a different format like XML or flat file. So it's a different kind of format. I'll show you like in our classes. Okay. When we work with B2B transactions or B2B projects, so I'll show you like how it works. And JSON. So typically like XML. So like how we are using like XML nodes and elements. So JSON is also one kind of like communication methodology. Okay. So we call it as JavaScript object notation. So even when we go with like go to profiles class, so I'll explain you each and every profile. How do we create, how the data will looks like, so all those things. Even we do some practice as well. But here JavaScript object notation, why like we have XML as a communication methodology for most of the services, REST and so. So why are we going with JSON? Okay. So nowadays like all the applications are going with the mobile apps, right? So obviously like when you go with XML, so the problem is like it will consume a lot of data. Okay. So it will take a lot of time to display on the screen and it will consume a lot of data. That is the main reason. So the technology has like moved to the very lightweight and less data consumption service, which is JSON. Okay. So it will consume very less data and it is very easy to display on the screen. Okay. This is
so I also does the traditional like a batch process where it runs on a schedule basis and transfers files, and also does this active listener processes, right, where it does things based on events. So between these two types of processes, are there limitations on what types of files apply to a specific type of process, or can all this be in both of those types of processes?
Yes, all these processes we can use in both. It doesn't matter like what kind of data that you are sending. So just like we do, like if it is a real time, okay, if it is a event based, so we have to define what is the data that you are sending, in which format that you are sending. The listener itself, we will configure that.
Okay. So even if it is an event based one, we can still work with flat files.
Yes,
if needed.
So let's say, yeah, if needed. So normally we will not go with it, but like if it is really required. Okay.
Okay. In case of event, what is the commonly used one? Is it XML?
XML or JSON. XML or JSON. So for any service, any we go with like XML or JSON. Okay. So let's say when you say event based, EDA like some like a vendor places any purchase order or invoice in AS to client artist. So obviously Boomi will be automatically using AS to client. So obviously it's a flat file if you ask me, but we call it as EDA profile even though like it's a .txt file. Okay. So obviously like it works on both, but normally like in the market when you say like web services or when you are communicating with a third-party system, it can be only XML or JSON, so that like it will be generalized solution, right? It is not generalized for Boomi. So normally they'll generalize for all the systems. So at the time they will go with like XML or JSON. Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. So coming to database, obviously when you connect any kind of database, the data that you receive in database format. So I'll show you the profile samples and like how the data that we receive in different like formats. Okay. Now you know like what is the source format and a source data format, and you know like what is the target data format. Okay, so the next step is the mappings. Okay, so how do you transfer between like the source profile to the destination profile? From source I am receiving some flat file data, and in destination I want to send XML data. Okay, so this is where we will get into mappings. Okay, so in boomi we have a component called map. Okay, using this map component, we will load the source profile and the data, and we will map those two. Like let's say from the source you are receiving first name and last name in the destination. So if you want to map those two, like map is a component that is, and so if at all if you have a different format, let's say from source I am receiving MMDDYY format. So for one of the date. Okay, so but destination is like a different name. Okay, different date format. Let's say like YYMMDD. It's a okay. The time you have to transfer the data like format. That is where we will get into map functions. Okay. Use functions. You can do any string functions and numeric functions, date functions, or you can write some script, whatever it is. Okay, it doesn't matter how you want to do. Okay, so using map functions, you can do any kind of manipulations of your data. Okay, so and apart from this, like boomi has about 20 components. Using these 20 components, you can define any kind of business logic. Let's say you want to filter the data. Let's say you want to like send the same employee record to Workday and ADP, both the systems. Okay, so or you want to read the data and send it to different systems. So whatever the logic, whatever the business logic that you want to do, so using these 20 components, we will like define everything. So I'll show you like all those 20 components here. This is my typical integration, and if you see execute, so in execute we have about 10 components, and in logic we have 10 components. So other than this, you don't have anything in boomi. Okay, so you cannot even define any custom component like custom objects in success factors or custom objects in Salesforce that we do normally. That is not possible. Okay, so it is like 20 components. You have to use this, and you have to define your integration. Okay, and as I told you, it's a zero code tool. Okay, normally like we will avoid writing some scripting in boomi, but even though if you want, like you will go with a groovy script or JavaScript. Okay, using these two technologies coding. Okay, groovy is nothing but typically it's a Java code that we write. Okay, so using all these like the 4 or 5 topics that we discussed right now, so we will define any integration on top of it. Okay, so this will come under everything come under build. Okay, so using in a build tab, so if you see here, there is a boomi screen, boomi welcome screen. Okay, so under build we will develop any kind of integration. It doesn't matter if it is scheduled job or event based or like a real-time integration. So we define our integration in build using all these components. So we have to use connectors, we have to use connector operations and profiles, mappings, mapping functions, and components, all these things. In typical project, we'll have everything. Okay. Any questions here? Okay. So this is where like we define the build. So once we finish the build, once you develop any integration, so the next step is deploy. So this is where like we will go with the environments. Okay. So how do you set up environments? Let's say like even in SuccessFactors or Salesforce or any other system, let's say Java application or .NET application somebody written, so obviously we will have development environment, we will have UAT or testing, we'll have production. So typically in boomi also we will have environments, and in the so environments is like the servers, right? So like each and every server will have runtime engines. Okay, so SuccessFactors is a cloud system. So, but like coming to boomi, it's a cloud system, but like there are some of the customers which requires the like the data security. At the time, like we have a runtime engine which is called as Atom. Okay, Atom is a runtime engine where it will take care of your jobs. Let's say you want to like develop a job which will pull the data every day once. Okay, so Atom is where it will take care of your job. It will kick off the job every day, like every day once or every minute if you want to schedule. So it will take care of your jobs. Okay, it will kick off the job. It will start and it will capture all the logs. It will capture all the data and it will take care of your atoms, connectors, or profiles, whatever you create. Okay. So these were like there is a runtime engine. Okay, so we will install this Atom in. So just download from like boomi. So we will set up Atom local environment also. So once we start the classes, okay. So we'll set up in one of the servers and we will start work from there. Okay. Normally, like let's say you want to develop any dev environment or UAT or production, you download the Atom and install in one of the server. That is where like your environment will be ready. Okay. So that is where like deploy is nothing but like like once you develop any integration, so how you deploy your integration into different environments. Okay, and we have a couple more tabs: process reporting and data management. Process reporting is specifically meant for like to like monitor your jobs, whether it is working or not, how many records are coming, whether is there any errors in the integration. So those things will come under process reporting. Okay, and data management, this is where like you'll manage all your environments, schedules, job schedules and all. Okay, any questions? So this is where like these are the typical like atoms that I have. Each and every atom, like I have dev atom, production atom, and testing atom. So under that I'll have all the like deployed integrations. This is where like I schedule my jobs. So whatever you see here, so let's say like I am developing an integration today. Okay, so and tomorrow also I am just continue my integration. So I want to revert back my changes. Version control, normally like without version control you cannot develop any project. Okay, so obviously it is inbuilt in boomi, and scheduling is inbuilt, and monitoring, so logs or data, so that you want to see any data, so everything is inbuilt in boomi. Okay, so you don't need to download any tool for anything. So the only thing that we download and set up, it is a runtime engine, the backend server part. Okay.
So the runtime engine, why is that required, Pradeep? If it is going to be running in the cloud and everything, and we are developing on the browser, why is the runtime engine required?
Yes, as I told you, like a cloud, when you go with the boomi cloud Atom, so you don't need to install anything. But there are some other customers, banking customers, finance customers, or pharmaceutical customers. They don't want to expose their data. Let's say like employee data, right? So normally people doesn't want to like expose to the public. So because it's a confidential information, right? How many employees that you have, like each and every person, how much salary that they are getting. So it's a very confidential. There is a chance of like a hack, like so if the cloud Atom is like compromises, so the security, so obviously your data is exposed to the public. So obviously they doesn't want to do that, and they want to have a local Atom.
Okay, so the runtime environment is required only if you go with the local Atom option, not the cloud Atom.
Cloud Atom, yes. So let's say here, so if you see here, development production, it's in the cloud. The development, it's in the local. Okay, so cloud means if you see this item, it's a cloud Atom. Okay, so you can set up based on like a development can be like a cloud Atom, and a local, like when you go to production, you can go with like a local Atom. So that's also possible. How do you set up? It matters. Okay, so how do you want to configure? So for which environment you want to go with cloud, and which environment you want to go with like
So in case a customer chooses like completely everything local, how does like boomi monitoring come in? So if we still do we log into the boomi's platform, boomi login, and
same thing. So normally how it happen, normally like once you download the Atom and install in your local server. Okay, let's say like my customer gave me like one local server, like one server for production. Okay, so I installed the Atom in the local server. Okay, but still like boomi will communicate with that every second. Okay, it's kind of a real time. So it will communicate and it will get the data, and it will show the complete like logs.
Okay, but if we are accessing that server and its contents through the platform.boomi.com URL, then isn't there like a purpose like defeated way, because boomi that URL is going to have access to the everything that this Atom is
Yes,
processing
yes.
anyway, right?
Yes, yes, it is through authentication. It is not platform.boomi.com. So once platform.boomi.com is trying to hit, it will ask for username and password. So it has to authenticate in the backend, and it will have Atom ID. So if you see this Atom ID, so there are a lot of the security on top of it.
Okay.
So it will
So
ask
it's
for Atom ID, application ID, and it will ask for like a username and password authentication. So everything based on that, it will communicate,
okay.
and it will have firewalls as well. So normally like we will like on top of this authentication, we will allow the platform.boomi.com for particular IPs.
Okay. So the advantage is, even though we're accessing it through
The
Boomi's
cloud.
portal
Yes.
and everything, the advantage is that the actual file will reside in the customer server and be processed with the customer's
Yes.
servers and everything. Okay.
Exactly. Exactly. Whatever the like, let's say if I click here, so there is a typical log file. So it is going to Atom, okay, the local server, and it will fetching the data. So when I click, okay,
Okay.
normally like in between it will happen like the authentication, security, it will check, and then it will fetch the data.
So that log file in this case is actually residing on that local server. In this case, your local server.
Yes, it is my local laptop even though,
Yeah.
like,
In this case, yeah, in this local laptop. This
yeah,
file is on
it
your
is my
laptop.
local laptop. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. It can be anywhere. Server can be anywhere. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Sai, any questions from your side?
No, sir.
So this is where like we will start the class with so normally like so using build, deploy, manage, atom management, and like process reporting. These two normally like atom management and process reporting will come under support and administration. Okay, so there is no like admin role, and there is no like development role. So normally in Boomi like everything is same, not technical and functional. It is techno-functional role. Okay. So normally we have to take care. So if you are a senior, obviously you'll get access to everything, and you have to like take care of the complete things. Yeah, you may have to set up even environments as well for some of the customers. Okay. So we will start with like in tomorrow class. Normally we will start with the setting up environment and all. But today let me explain what is service. Okay. What is web
Web
service?
service. Right.
Okay. So as I told you, like in web services, so if you want to expose any of your data to the public, okay. So let's say I developed one functionality where public wants to see the data, or let's say as a simple example, so Amazon has some laptops and where they want to display their laptops data into Flipkart. Okay. Normally 1+3 is coming under like Flipkart, right? So from one side to another side, where it is displaying the data. Okay, how it is communicating, how like Flipkart is like communicating with Amazon. So that is where like using web services it will communicate. So send the request and get the response. Okay, so for any service we will see like two things: a request and response. Okay, so using like a request, we will send what is the data that you want. Okay, so let's say I want like this particular employee data. Let's say I want Pradeep employee data. That is where we include in the request. Okay, the response means like the system what exactly it is giving. Let's say I want like Pradeep information. So response means the complete Pradeep XML. Okay, so how the data. Okay, so that is where like so without request and response there is no web service. Okay. So normally like in REST service, so the request and response will commute using HTTP protocol. Okay, and in SOAP it is a SOAP protocol. Okay, so simple object access protocol that we use. Okay, and here the communication methodology is completely using XML. Okay, but in REST it is like XML or JSON. It can be anything. Okay, so nowadays like people started using REST as a communication methodology because it is using JSON as a communication, like the data format, and it is very lightweight, and even the security wise and the performance wise is more. Okay, so normally like in REST, the complete URLs are like typically based on HTTP protocol, HTTP URLs. Okay, whatever the URLs that you see, like it's a typical platform.boomi.com URL. Okay, within the URL itself, we will maintain all the authentication, like parameters, everything. But whereas coming to SOAP, we have a concept called WSDL. Okay, WSDL. So we call it as Web Service Description Language. Okay, so this is the normally I have a success factors of application. Okay, so I want to from boomi I want to access success factors one of the functionality, or Salesforce one of the functionality. Okay, at the time, so if Salesforce is giving soap service, so we will have Wisdom in the middle. Okay, normally a Wisdom means that is where it will capture and it will check whether your what is the object that you want to read, or what is the authentication that you are sending, what are the parameters that you are sending, everything it will define in Wisdom. Okay, so based on Wisdom file that you have to send the request. Let's say I want to authenticate the service first. Okay, so normally in Wisdom it will have this is the authentication class, and these are the parameters that you have to send, username and password, assault key, whatever it is. Okay, based on Wisdom file you have to send the parameters. If you send a different parameter, it will not accept it. Wisdom is middleware where it will commute between the application, actual application, application endpoint, and your third party. Okay, so it will check for your
Does the
parameters.
RESTful requirement apply only for SOAP, or is it required for REST as well?
No, it is not for REST. It is only for SOAP.
Okay.
So REST directly it will hit the application. Okay, there is no intermediate the layer between the service application and your third party system.
I hope I will understand if we go deeper into it, because right now I just get that REST works without the still directly somehow. So I think we'll understand when we get into that.
Right. So
okay.
I'll show you a simple example here. So let's say, so let me go back to the build screen. So sorry, click on new. So connection, and I'm selecting HTTP client. Okay, so if I try to create, it will ask me only URL. Okay, only the service URL. Okay, so let's say the same way, if I go with web service SOAP, so it will ask for Wisdom URL and endpoint URL both. Okay, so this is where Wisdom URL is where the communication methodology here. Okay, the intermediate layer, but here we don't have, it is direct URL. Okay, and then we have application URL as well. Endpoint URL means it's an actual application URL. Wisdom URL, it is an intermediate layer which will check your object is let's say I want to read some success factor employee job, EMP job. Okay, let's say rather sending EMP job, you are sending job information as a parameter. Okay, Wisdom is where it will check for whether you are sending correct parameter, correct object name, correct values or not. Okay, it will throw error, so it will not go to endpoint direct. Okay.
Yeah. So we're still kind of the kind of dictionary of the web service, right? Like what structure you should use in your query and what is the parameter you should use.
Yes.
How does REST work without that dictionary? How does it directly know how to structure a request?
Normally it will not follow a particular structure, right? So when you say it's my REST service, so you have to give let's say I developed one REST service. When I want to expose to the customer, so I have to give even each and every function XML samples as well. Okay, XML or JSON sample, then it will load. Okay, so normally I have to receive all those things, the URL and format of data, everything I have to receive. So whatever, let's say here I want to authenticate. Okay, so when you want to authenticate username, password, you have to send as a XML profile. Okay, but whereas here you will send in the parameters. Let me show you a simple example. Okay, so see here, customer/3. So it is sending customer object and the parameter value is 3. So that is where we code in the backend. Okay, so customer is the object and 3 is the parameter for that particular object. Okay, this is where we said.
Okay.
So everything based on URL.
We still see your sample REST API.
Oh, okay. So how about you, Sai?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I get it.
No,
okay.
which screen? Yeah, okay. So this is where like normally we send the parameters. So we are defining our objects and we are defining our parameters, everything in the URL.
Okay.
Okay. So if it is required, a payload is required. So at the time we go with like a
Sir,
XML or JSON.
sir, some disturbance is coming here.
Not exactly sure from which side.
You're not clear.
Right. Okay. Good then. Okay. So this is where like we send using parameters and REST. Okay. Whereas like if you want to send a particular payload, at the time we go with like some sample XML or sample JSON. So where we will develop that like let's say I'll show you the connector operation for HTTP client as well. Okay. So that you'll understand better. So here I want to define connector operation HTTP client. Create. So here we have request profile and we have response profile. As I told you, the web services, obviously you have to define what is the request, what is the response, both. So you have to define what kind of data that you want to send, XML or JSON. Okay, and even the response also, it can be both. It can be anything. Sorry. Okay. So when I see this web service of client connector operation, okay, and this web service of client create. Okay, see here, so if it is a web service, so obviously you have to import. You cannot define upfront. So you have to connect with Dell and you have to load that particular dictionary, whatever the object that you want to do. Okay, so let's say it has execute and you have to like download. So we have an option called import. So using input, so you have to select what kind of SOAP service, what is the connector, and what is the like a particular object that you want to select. You have to select, and then it will load your profile. Okay. But whereas like when you go to this HTTP request, you have to select the profiles upfront. So you have to define the profiles here itself. You cannot download from any dictionary. Okay.
Okay.
Normally customers will provide these two profiles. Okay. Any other questions?
Thanks.
Yeah. Any questions?
No, sir.
Hey, who is that other person? So I couldn't able to see the names. So Mahesh, did you join from two different like browsers by any chance? Mahesh, did you join from two different browsers or?
Sorry, I was talking on mute. No, I didn't. Pradeep, I'm on one. I typed my name on the one I'm using. The other one is not me.
Oh, okay. Not exactly sure who joined. Okay, fine. Anyway, so yeah, so this is where like we stop the class today. So tomorrow we will discuss more about the services, how to connect, and we will start with the local environment setup initially. Okay, so tomorrow we will download that. So and we will set up your local environment. Mahesh, do you have any like boomi account or you want to create a trial account?
No, I have my own account. I can use that.
Okay, yeah. Okay, good then. So if it is a success factors account, that's fine. So you'll have all the options. If not, like let me know. So I'll create a trial account with all the features. Okay.
Okay. Actually, yeah, I would like to create my own trial account so that I know the things from scratch, because this one I got just login and everything is already set up. I would like to know from scratch. So maybe I should try sign up for a trial account from the boomi.
Yeah. So when you sign up, when you sign up for a trial account, so obviously you'll not see all the features enabled.
Okay.
Let's say, so normally like a 30 days trial account, so they'll not give you access to like, let me open one of the integration so that I'll show you. So in the 20 components that we discussed, right? So you'll not have access to all these components. Okay. You'll not have access to cache, you'll not have access to file changes and process route. So all these options you'll not have access. Okay. Only for the enterprise account you'll have access.
Okay.
Okay. So you need to go with a different route. So you just give me your email ID. So to which account you want to have the access, so that I'll provide you. So it should be 30 days normally.
Okay. So you mean even for the 30 days that right now that you can give for me? I'll have access to all the
Yes.
all the
Yes.
what do you call what are the features?
Yes, you have access to all the features.
Okay. All right. I'll send you an email then.
Okay, yeah. So let me give you my email ID.
Okay. So what will be the schedule like, Pradeep? Is this time that will happen every day, and how long is the
Yes,
class?
every day. So normally initially it will be 1 hour, but going forward it will be 1.5 hours to 2 hours
Okay.
as well sometimes. Okay.
Okay.
So if you stuck with some like when you guys do some practice, obviously
Hmm.
it will go like even be at 1.5 hours, but normally it will be 1.5 hour class.
Okay.
So from
How
tomorrow
long does
onwards,
it happen
you'll
usually?
yeah, it will be 15 days of classes. So
Okay.
15 classes we'll have, and I have scheduled for all the 15 days. 15 days. So let me open real quick. Let me open the class schedule as well. Okay.
Okay.
We will discuss about the each and every concept, administration or the setup, user management, everything we discussed. So there is a 15 days class. I don't know whether you received or not, but like so I'll ask Chaitanya to share it with you. Okay.
Okay. I haven't, I guess.
Okay, so I'll share it with you. So you just send me a test mail. So I'll share
Okay.
this schedule with you. Okay. So
Okay.
15 days, it's a typical, right? So obviously, if it goes beyond like 15 days, maybe 5 days more. So obviously, like so we'll take those 5 classes and we'll finish everything. Okay.
Okay.
Normally, it's based on like how you're grasping or how you're practicing. So based on that.
Okay.
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 So
And if
compared to all other integrations, okay, in the market, success factors integration is little complex. Okay.
okay.
So obviously it will take more time for you guys to understand. So because you guys are like technical and functional, you have two different roles, right? So obviously for any other technology, let's say Java, like a Java developer comes and learns boomi, so it will be simple for him. But normally for success factor people or like SAP people, it will be little difficult because they may come from a functional background or technical background. It's a two
Hmm.
different functions so that you have.
Okay.
Okay. Right.
And if I'm targeting like certification for that, will this prepare me for what kind of certification that Dell
Yes.
Boomi has?
Yes. Once you finish all these 15 days of classes, so you'll get ready with like a certification as well.
Okay. No, they have like these two levels of certifications, right? Will this
Yes.
be enough for both the developer one and developer two
Yeah.
certification as well?
Frankly speaking, there is no level 1 and level 2 in the exam side. It is to get the money. That's it. So it's both are related to developer.
Okay, it's not like two different.
No. And so you'll get most of the same questions here.
Oh, okay.
But like normally, like there are some of the companies they are asking for level 2 certification. So what they call like it's a team lead level. So normally, like as a junior developer, you may not get a chance to work on all the components of boomi, okay, all the
Hmm.
features of boomi. So whereas like in developer 2, they think that like so you'll cover everything. That's it. You're a kind of a lead level
Okay.
lead boomi developer. So that's what people think. But normally, like you'll get same questions in both the like exams.
Okay.
Same kind of questions. It may not be same questions. It may be same kind of questions. Okay.
Okay. But this is the code. Content-wise, this course will cover what is required for this.
Yes. Yes. For both exams.
Okay.
So normally, like when you go with a boomi training, so okay, so you have to pay like $2,000, and
Hmm.
only for the basic developer one. Okay. So for developer two, what they explain like so they'll divide like here. If you see the components, so business rules, cleanse and route, all these things they'll not discuss in the first class. Okay. So that will come under second class, developer two.
Oh,
But normally, like in our classes, we'll cover everything, all the 20 components.
okay.
Okay.
And the
So
cost and everything, Pradeep, should I discuss it here or with
no,
Chaitanya email me?
yes, yes. So I think you called Krishna, right? It's training.
Yeah, kids right.
Yes, yes. You can call them and you can speak with them
All
about
right.
the cost. Okay. So any other expectations from your side, success factor side or workday side?
Yeah, the two core technologies I'm looking at is both Workday and SuccessFactors, but I cannot probably have access to Workday to try these things out because I have experience, but right now I'm not in that actual area. But
Okay.
SuccessFactors, I have access to try out things.
Yes,
So
yes. Okay, good.
Workday,
Then
is there any chance I can
normally,
get an access to instance to try out things?
no, no, no. Workday also doesn't have a trial account, right? And even Success also doesn't have a trial account. Can you create a trial account in SuccessFactors? I don't think
Yeah, I
so.
can, but it's probably only for my own use, so I
Is
can
it?
create one.
No, no, no. It's a sandbox. That's fine. But normally, like 30 days trial and all, you cannot create,
No,
right?
no, no, no.
No, yeah, it's a pure commercial tool. So
Yeah,
obviously, like you cannot create like a success factor. As you are working on success factors
yeah,
team or project, so you may have access to one of the account,
yeah, yeah.
but still
That's
like you
right.
cannot create. So normally the classes will go with like Salesforce and other typical tools, Disk, FTP and all. Okay. So
Okay.
and at the final class, like last 2 or 3 classes, I'll
Mm-hmm.
explain about success factors. Whereas like I'm working on a couple customers using
Okay.
success factors integrations. So
Okay.
obviously I'll open those project use cases and I'll explain about like
Okay.
different functionalities or different use cases.
All right.
Okay.
So when you're actually during these classes, what do you like ask the trainees to work on? Do they which instances do they
Yes.
usually work train them on?
Normally, so Disk and Salesforce, these two. And as you have like access to success factors, I'll give you some use cases on success factors as well.
Okay.
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 So as you have access already, but normally it will be Salesforce and Disk mostly because
Okay.
it's a free of cost. So obviously, like every developer will have like even though they are using some trial account, they'll have access to Disk and they can create even Salesforce trial account.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a
So
Salesforce account too, which I have some like pet projects and everything. So maybe those
right,
two
right,
I
you
can
can.
try to
Yes, yes. So I'll
use.
give you about 15 use cases, okay? Normally
Okay.
like from the basic level to the complex level, okay? So
Okay.
the 15th use case will be very complex, whereas like you may need to spend some 2 or 3 days to develop the integration. And
Okay.
obviously you will cover almost all the components, all the features of boomi. So
All
you
right.
like once you finish. So that's where
Okay.
like normally I'll go with, okay?
All right.
Yeah. Any other questions?
That's all I had. Thanks. Thank you. This was really
Okay.
helpful.
Yeah, okay. So, Sai, we'll have a separate call. So you just call me on my mobile, okay? So, and
Okay, sir.
anybody else have any questions?
Sir, for today's this this much only, right? Web
Yes, yes.
services.
Yes, yes, only web services.
Only right HTML and
Right.
XML, JSON, and you. Okay, I'll talk to you in call.
Yeah, yeah, okay, right. So, okay, fine. So, Mahesh, like normally, like we will record each and every session, and every day Chaitanya will share the video with you. Okay.
Okay.
Once we finish the class, you'll receive the video as well. So that if you want to like repeat and verify what we discussed
Mm-hmm.
and practice, you can do that.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks.
And as for my knowledge, so you'll get like a free boomi account with success factors. You can use that as well.
Okay.
You'll have different options. Okay. So I'll explain you all those different options. Typically, when you go with enterprise account and success factors account, both are different. Okay. Both boomi accounts are different. You'll have more features. Yes, success factors.
Okay.
I'll explain you all those things. Yeah. Okay, right then. So we'll catch up tomorrow, same time.